we are on Highway 105 going south. Gonna go to Raymond and then turn off on 101, go to South Bend and head on down to Cape Disappointment State Park, the last state park on the Washington coast. I understand they're still open and expect to have 15 openings here today, so we should have a good chance of getting a place without any problems. My buddy's up ahead with his A-frame, and it's a beautiful day. It's supposed to be 2 or 3 beautiful days here before that cold snap and snow comes, so we're making the most of it. Hope we don't get caught in the chill. Here's Kate riding shotgun. Huh, Kate? You okay, girl? Kate's watching Sarah down between the seats here. So let's see what the view is outside here. Got these large sloughs that just come right up and empty into the ocean on the coast here. Old dead trees, a lot of interesting things. Big inlets, ponds, marshes. Quite the place. So what do you think, Kate? Huh? See what Sarah's doing down here. Sarah, what are you doing? You silly dog. Oh, there's some neat looking trees. Just a windy, scenic road here. Really nice. Well, we made it to Cape Disappointment State Park. The state park on the Washington coast, the furthest south we can go. The entrance is there. We continue up this road up to the hilltop where the famous lighthouse is and the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center is. Here we have the map of Cape Disappointment State Park, showing you all the trails, campground areas, points of interest and such. It's a large area with plenty to see, several trails, some paved, some not, lots of history from World War II and Lewis and Clark. So let's turn this over and see the campsite itself and where all the campgrounds are. And here's Cape Disappointment State Park, and this shows all the campsites within the state park. You can see there's quite a bit. You can tell where the Pacific Ocean is and how close some of these are to it. They're scattered all over. Up at the entrance to the state park, there's a lake, and there's camping sites for tents, I believe, right along the lake, which are very nice themselves. So there's a lot here to discover and explore. You could easily spend a couple of days here seeing everything. The beach is enormous, it goes forever, and the sights are fantastic. This is one of the best state parks I think Washington has, and it's very enjoyable. Here we are at Waikiki Beach, the photographer's dream. We got some big waves still coming in from that Pacific storm a week ago. There's the lighthouse where people get pictures of the monstrous waves crashing up into it. You can see these things are pretty darn huge and powerful. They just come crashing right into this little cove. See if we can zoom in out there. You wouldn't want to be surfing out there. Heck no. We are at the southernmost tip of Washington State. Just beyond this is the entrance to the Columbia River, and across that is Astoria and the Oregon coast. The awesome power of the sea. Well, there's plenty to do here, plenty to see. Trails all over the mountains, bluffs, beaches. And this coastal state park, like many of the others we've gone to here on our trip, seem to be built in marshlands because the land is so low. Totally different than the Oregon coast. Here at Cape Disappointment, we're at Waikiki Beach, and there's lots of Lewis and Clark history here, where they first made it to the Pacific. And they have very informative signs here to help tell you the story. Now, Waikiki Beach is where everyone takes their pictures of the big surf hitting the rock there below the lighthouse. And we're going to go check it out. We're here at Cape Disappointment at the parking lot for the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center up here on the top of the hill. We're going to take this trail up and take a look out over the Pacific. You can see the rig down there. The girls are fine. They're just taking a nap. Here's the information board at the trail up to the Interpretive Center. You can see things are still closed down even a year later. Guess we got to get used to it. It could be another year or longer before we have the openness we once had in 2019. Walk up this rather good incline here to the viewpoint and the visitor center. There's many trails all over the hills here. You can hike and camp and ride your bike all over. Plenty to do here. And just like this time last year, this place is still closed down. Too bad. Maybe one day I'll get in it. There's the famous lighthouse over there in the point. You can hear the waves. And over there is where I was taking pictures of the Waikiki Beach. You can hear the thunder. There's some mighty waves coming in. Pretty powerful waves. Being an ex-submariner, this plaque really strikes home. Probably the loneliest way to die is be on a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. It's a really nice viewpoint here up in front of the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. You're right on the edge of the bluff, looking out to sea with the crashing waves behind you and the lighthouse guarding the Columbia River. This is one of the many trail posts. Shows you all the different trails on the point here to hike on, with great views of the ocean and the bluffs. So let's walk up this one ways and see if we can go the distance. All right. Here are some of the where the turrets were for the guns, and where the men slept and stayed on guard of the Washington coast and the entrance to the Columbia River. Looks like the lighthouse trail is closed down. Can't go. follow the trail, and the trail circles down to the parking lot again. So that was interesting. Too bad you can't walk out to the lighthouse, but that's Coast Guard property and they controlled access to that. Here we are at the North Head Lighthouse, and there's many trails on this point also. We're going to go check a few out. A little signage here says Cape Disappointment is one of the foggiest places in the United States, with over 100 days of fog every year. And then we have a quote here by Professor A.W. DeVoe of the Enchanted Cape on the Owaco Tribune, 1932. Let it rain, and let us join the creatures appreciative of life, whether in sun or rain. The air is mild. A dank odor of dense forest and the smell of rain pervades the atmosphere. So true to the entire coast in Puget Sound, I think. And we have an old wooden water tower still standing. So let's continue the trail and see where this goes. There's some spooky old trees out here. They just look like something out of a Disney movie. But most all the trails are paved, wide, and easy access. Then there's others that are just trails for the ones that don't want the paved path. There's a tree that didn't know which way it wanted to go, so it decided to split. These trees are probably, I'd say, close to 100, if not that, on the coast here. Some old growth. Beautiful. Lush green. It's like they've captured time in a bottle. Now there's one really big, old tree. Look at that thing. The branches on it are bigger than my legs. And the paved trail comes up to this little walkway observation deck. They do it upright here at this state park. Oh my gosh. What a view. Just wish there wasn't so much fog out there. But this is fantastic. Looking north up the beach. Looking out across the Pacific. I can see Japan from here. Or no, that was somebody else. It is still pretty darn rugged out there. Still some big waves coming in from the storms in the past week that were out there in the Pacific. So here I am, Cape Disappointment, the southernmost state park on the Washington coast. We've had sunshine most all this trip so far, a little rain, but that's all. This time last year you'd get blown off the cliff by the gale force winds and driving rain we had when I was here. This is totally different. Not sure what these are called, but they're some kind of a lookout station from World War II where the men lived, and I'm sure this wasn't growing over like it is now, but they could sit up here on this mound on top of the ridge and look out into the ocean for enemy ships or possibly enemy submarines. Let's go down here and take a look. It seems to have many different levels to it. Looks like you can wander through quite a few. Here we are in one of the places, looking out. Hard to see because of the fog out there. But there's just one little way in here, one way out. And we'll go in here. Very compact place. These look like separate buildings. Very, very well reinforced. See how thick this is. I'm not sure what that trough in there is for. Unless this was a bathroom or something. Let's see if we can get to the lower deck. It's pathetic to see today's people trashing our history. Whether it agrees to you or not, it's just pathetic. That's where we were. There's two other layers here. Just got to figure out how the heck to get to them. So here's the lower entrance to the lowest level with stairs up to the middle level. And then to get to the top level, you go up to the upper entrance to the top level. So that's fascinating. I find World War II extremely fascinating. I've watched dozens and dozens of documentaries as they peel back the truth. And it's amazing and kind of scary to learn that America actually nearly lost the war. We came closer than a lot of Americans realize. Let's not lose the next one. Now let's walk out here to the North Head Lighthouse. Looking back at the grounds. Yep. Before I retired, when I did my travels, stayed at bed and breakfast. For the same price, you got so much more. So much more. There was no comparison. And then I decided to get an RV, which gave me even more freedom. So let's go out here and check out the lighthouse and the view. Again, this is the North Head Lighthouse at Cape Disappointment State Park. Looks like they're rebuilding maybe a small building here where the on-duty lighthouse keeper stayed to keep the light going during the turn of the century. It's all looking very nice. And we got the coast out here. Looking up towards the north. Well, that's looking south down the coast. We turn around here. Looks like there's another pillbox there. Right on the cliff, looking out towards the ocean. They've really done an excellent job refurbishing this lighthouse here. This is really spectacular. See if we can look up here without losing my cap. Way up there. You'll have to excuse the noise of construction, but these are some really nice plaques they have explaining what's going on in the history of the lighthouse. See, there it is. There's the oil house they're rebuilding. Here's what it looked like under construction in 1898. then this just explains why there's two lighthouses here on the Cape. Got Cape Disappointment Lighthouse and the North Head Lighthouse, built in 1898. And the Cape Disappointment Lighthouse was built in 1856. And Asteria is right across the bay, and Tillamook Head is farther south. It's just a little too foggy to see them. They're down there in the clouds. Our campsite here at Cape Disappointment is down there, somewhere in the trees, right along the ocean. Some of them that are closer are closed during the winter because the Pacific storms pick up all those drift logs and actually push them into the campsites closest to the beach. But we got some as close as you can get right now. Here's our site, number B98. As close as you can get to the beach without being on the beach, except for the other loop over here, which is even closer. And that's the one that's closed because of all the drift logs being pushed up from the high tide. Kate's always on watch, protecting the homestead here. Sarah's guarding the inside. So I got two good watchdogs that keep questionable people away. I hope. So far they have. Let's walk over here to the section that's closed during the winter months because of the high tides and the Pacific storms, and you can see what the latest ones have done to the campgrounds. Now I'll show you later, once we get to the beach, how much driftwood is piled up on these beaches here. But this is one campsite that's closed during the winter storm months. You can see the size of these things. That's another campsite closed. Walk along here, and you can just see the size of these drift logs that the Pacific storms just push over like they were styrofoam. And another campsite here that's just destroyed, and even this one over here. They get buried during the winter storm months. This whole ring is shut down because then they have to come in and clean it up for people to use during the summer months when they're really busy. But it's a ongoing deal all the time. The tricky part is trying to find trails that people have already made to outlets they've found through all these trees. That almost looked like a seal there. But looks like there's one exit here. Either someone's made or found. Right now it's high tide. So we're gonna go out here real quick because I got the dogs back on the leash. And we have one really huge stump there. If I can make my way through all this debris. And we got the beach, and up there is the North Head Lighthouse that we hiked to earlier. And you can see all the debris up here that's pushed up here. As far as the eye can see, as far as the beach goes, it's just tremendous. A tremendous amount of driftwood. And the majority of this stuff comes out of the Columbia River and then is tossed back on the beach here by the tide. See the rolling sea foam. The girls are on watch. Sarah's looking for anything that moves. Kate's looking for someone to come over and pet her if she likes them. What do you think, Kate? Huh? Sarah, what do you see? I don't know what you're looking at, but you see something. You sure do. And it's kind of strange just watching the sun sink into the ocean. Going deep. And we got all them little sandpipers there too. Yeah, there goes the sun. Down, down, down. Till it comes back up on the other side of the world, right? Well, good evening. It's been a busy day today. We've done a lot of exploring since coming here to Cape Disappointment State Park. This place is huge. There's trails and things to explore all over the Cape. As you can see, the girls are pretty exhausted. They've had a busy day themselves. They just finished dinner. They have full tummies and they're quite content. Kate is up front sitting on the passenger seat, just keeping track of anything that might pass by in front of the vehicle. So we're gonna get up tomorrow morning and explore Cape Disappointment State Park some more. There's so much here to do, so many trails to hike, beaches to explore, uh, both historic items from Lewis and Clark's journeys and also World War II, where they had embankments here to protect the mouth of the Columbia River. This part of Washington State, here at the southmost tip of the state, has a lot of history, both Lewis and Clark and World War II. So there's lots to learn, lots to see. And I think it's one of the best state parks we have in the state.